Welcome to Drinking with Authors. We have a very special episode today. We actually have a series of very special episodes. So this is the Misplaced Adventures group. So we're going to have 3 of these, which is epic. And before we introduce all the epically cool people, let's talk about what we're drinking. So one of my guests had this drink, and it is, everybody's going to cringe because every time I say it, everybody cringes until you try it. It is Fireball and pineapple juice. It is so good because it tastes like, like when you flame grill pineapple and put cinnamon on it, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, so cinnamon and pineapple, classic combo, works for me.
Yeah, it's very good. You should not drink a lot of Fireball just for health reasons. But anyway, that's what I'm drinking. Okay, so that is my disclaimer. Kevin, what are you drinking?
10, 15 years ago, something like that, I got diagnosed with diabetes. And I was drinking a lot of beer back then. So I think that may have had some slight contribution there. It's possible, probably not. But,
I doubt it. What is that? Medical science? What is that?
Yeah. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, so basically since then I've had nothing to drink. But I really wanted to play along and be a good sport. So, I made sure I was, like sort of high protein, high fat today, so I could dive in. And I bought some ultralight beer so that I could play, which I understand is, grounds for being drummed out of any sort of proper group of alcoholics. But it's about the best I can do.
There might be a sorority party somewhere with some white claws in that, which would invite you to be there.
Is there an improper group of alcoholics?
Yes.
I mean, are those just like the White Claws and Jack
It's the
Lemmon?
White Claws. It's also the people that think Budweiser is the epitome of beer. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're going to hard pass on that choice. Well, Kevin, I appreciate
It's
you.
the best I can do.
I appreciate it. Don't go into a diabetic coma for us because that would be a cool ending to the story, but let's hard pass on that result.
He's got deadlines. Please don't do that.
No.
I love him.
So saith the editor in this particular call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah,
so saith the wife. She
Yes.
made me promise not to kill myself for this.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to be fine.
I think this is the most pressure anybody's been put on the show. This is weird. I don't even know how to react.
High.
We've only gotten one drink out of the way discussion. And okay, Kelly, what are you drinking?
I will never die of scurvy. I like to put alcohol in juice. So this is raspberry juice, lemonade, and tequila.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
That sounds amazing.
It's like spicy Kool-Aid.
That sounds great. You should throw some jalapenos in there, and that would just do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it would for sure.
I love me some jalapenos. Okay, William, what are you drinking?
I Hemingway my way through writing when I'm drinking, and I don't mean by poorly cleaning a shotgun. I mean drinking wise.
I was going to say you're going to have a really short career depending on the way you're approaching that.
More an illustrious one that ends with a bang. No, I drink straight. So right now I've got rum, just good old fashioned rum. It's actually, and I'm a basic bitch, so I know how to be economical. It's Captain Morgan's, but it's the private stock. So for those of you who like a rum and Coke, you probably get the regular. But if you spend a few extra bucks, the private stock is really a serviceable, good, straight up drinking rum, not the kind you have to steal from your grandmother's cabinet.
Is that warm?
Yeah. I don't do any ice cubes or anything. I drink everything straight warm.
You heathen.
I'm half Scottish, so
I'm totally Irish.
So
heathen.
yeah. So I mean, I'll drink whiskey and scotch, bourbon, anything room temperature, straight up. Every time. Tequila, sake is the only thing I think I change the temperature of because I like to heat up sake.
Yeah.
Well, that's supposed to be heated up, so that makes sense.
Sake off the stove is just amazing. But yeah, I can't really do beer. I used to love Bavarian beer, like a Hefeweizen or a Weihenstephaner. But nope, just straight booze for me now.
Okay. Well,
Since he started writing,
That's
what happened.
I was going to say, I don't even know how I feel about anything that has happened, and we haven't even introduced you guys yet. So, like,
I didn't even touch drinking until my wife kind of encouraged it. Because she was like, well, we haven't found the drink you like. And then the doors opened and then we had a kid. And I'm like, oh, this works. So,
and she's like, what have I done?
Right. I wasn't breastfeeding. I had nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parenthood will encourage drinking.
Yeah.
That's good on so many levels, I think. Okay.
Right.
So, let's try to introduce our guests. I don't even know where we're going with this, and I feel like I should just chug this and be quiet and let you guys do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So,
and we haven't started drinking.
Yeah,
yet.
we've just met here tonight. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So, Misplaced Adventures. Kevin, I am good. How's that beer for the first time in a really long time?
Oh my God, it smells so good. It tastes so good. I am so happy.
And this goes back, don't let anyone shit in your grotto. If you like Budweiser or Bud Light, folks at home, you just chug it down in the greatest of beer bongs. You just do what you got to do.
I see Williams eliminating himself from ever being a co-host.
Sorry.
No, as a beer hound, former beer hound, I very, very firmly believe that every beer out there is the perfect beer for someone in the right mood, at the right time, at the right temperature, whatever the hell it is, whatever your favorite beer is, there's no shame in it. I just don't believe in that. I've had too many great beers, bad beers that were perfect at the time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that is very true. But I will say, when somebody's like, hey, do you want me to bring over some beer? I will not go, yes, and leave it at that, because
that's how you get PBR.
Yeah, I prefer PBR to Budweiser, but we're not getting in that discussion right now. Okay, so Kevin,
yes,
you are the entire amazing origination point of this, correct?
Okay, I guess so. Yeah.
Lots of pressure. I had a lot of pressure put on me to even start this show. So yes, you're getting that over on you. So will you introduce yourself a little bit and what you write?
Yeah. My name is Kevin Petway. And I write humorous fantasy. Although honestly, it kind of doesn't matter what I write. The humor always sneaks in. I even when I'm trying not to, it's gonna happen. And I finally met the right publisher who really encouraged me to lean into that and be as funny and crass as I wanted to be. And that really sort of took a yeah, see, I'm already I'm like 3 sips into this, and I'm already kind of losing my vocabulary.
Isn't it like 4%? I mean, it's like low.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'd be surprised if there was actual alcohol
in
this. No, Kelly,
young.
It is 3.8%.
Okay, you're like a high school. You're like a high school girl now. That's what's happened.
Yeah,
it's de-evolved from college. We're in high school. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so I had these books that I was looking for either an agent or a publisher, and I was going to Superstar's writing conference. And the first time I went, I was just a fly on the wall. I was scared of everything. I was encouraged and inspired, but I really didn't talk to anybody. And and my wife said, "Okay, if you go back," and she wanted me to go back, but she said, "If you go back, you can't do that again. You've got to stick your hand out and talk to people." And so I sort of thought about it ahead of time and decided, on some strategies. And what I ultimately arrived at was really the best piece of career advice I've ever given to me, which was to run towards everything that scared the shit out of me. And so every opportunity that came up that was frightening to me, I ran towards it. I talked to all the people that scared me, that were, big in the business. I did the first pages reading, which, was in front of a huge crowd of people. I did Eric Flint had he would take the first 3 chapters of your book and basically critique it and, sort of tear it up as much as he could. And everybody who did that class would do the same thing. We all read each other's stuff and would try and tear them up. And every time I would do one of these things, we would go back to the main hall where we were having the big panels. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting next to this woman, and I was telling her about my experiences. And, and it was nice because, it was like super low pressure. She was telling me about her kid that was taking horseback riding. She was at some sort of horseback riding event. And so she's showing me pictures of her kid, jumping over the horse fences.
They're called jumps. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
As the editor steps into this entire conversation.
Right.
We're going to strike whatever you were about to say. We're going to use the word jumps because it's more succinct. Continue.
Excellent. and it should be in Kelly's voice. So I'm like, yeah, well, I did the first pages reading. It went really well. I did the critique group. It went really well. And, and she was asking me questions, being polite and stuff. And anyway, the 3rd or 4th day that we were there, she looks at me and she says, if it's okay with you, I would love to, for you to send me your manuscript. And I'm like, okay, but who are you? Because I knew her name and I knew that her kid rode a horse, and that was all I knew. And it was Kelly. And she was working for another publishing company, and but she was about to leave there anyway. And so it was all very serendipitously fell into place. And Kelly was that publisher that like I said, really encouraged me to sort of take the story in the direction that I really wanted it to, as opposed like the first editor that I had wanted to make it a young adult story, which it's just not. It just isn't. No. Not even a little bit. Anyway, so we've been working together for 7, 8 years now, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how long it's.
I think it's.
Well, you've had 3 sips of beer. I can understand that.
Oh, is it 4?
Yeah, I know. It feels like 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, 4. It's almost. Well, it's 6 books
it's
now.
6 books. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. And this, this whole thing is exploding, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. And I came to her last year with this idea for this little, character sci-fi piece, and I'm like, it's just, it's a one-off, but it's really been sort of bouncing around in the back of my head, and I'm excited about doing it. And she listened, very polite the whole time. She's like, that sounds great. It's wonderful. You're not going to do that. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she says, no, you're going to do this other thing. We're going to invite in other writers, and we're going to have a shared universe. And
fuck your dream.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, well, you know what? You're right. That's what we're going to do, because that's way cooler than what I had in mind.
Technically, for the record, when he brought it up, I said, that's awesome. How many books a year can you write? And he's like, well, I don't, because that thing where you talked about expanding your universe. And I was like, let me think about it. Yeah, it's already on. He's like, what? We're totally doing this. He's like, cool. Yeah, I can only write 1 book a year right now, I think. So I'm going to stick with just doing this universe.
Wow.
I'm getting better at that, but
Yes.
moving on.
Okay, Kelly, since you are the genesis of this project coming into fruition.
That's right.
Those are my big words before the fireball kicks all the way in.
I love it. Nobody
yes.
asked you to spell them. You did perfectly.
No, and I wouldn't. It's like doing the maths. I don't do the maths either. I'm not good at it. I'm good at pointing to the people that can do the maths, but I can't do the maths.
Right.
So Kelly, why don't you introduce yourself?
Why, hello, I am Kelly Lynn Colby. I am the publisher and editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. I also host a podcast, 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author. And if they're not your favorite now, they will be after. And I also am a writer. So I love to write. That's where it all started, of course. Well, it all started with reading. I should probably say I'm a reader first. And then a writer. And much like Kevin, that no matter what he does, the humor sneaks in. No matter what I write, a dragon seems to sneak in. I've tried to resist. It doesn't work. So I'm also a writer and I'm a freelance editor. So I do that on the side as well.
Wow. A multi-pronged. Awesome. Okay, now, William, got to follow that up. Good luck. May the force be with you.
I can clap without missing. That's pretty much.
At least give us your full name.
I mean, I'm just okay. William Lawrence Joseph Galaney. The middle names are real. They're not there just for pretension.
I've seen him do that clapping trick 3 times.
Yeah, it's impressive, especially with my feet. But what gets me is that I'm looking at the 3 of you, and you all look dynamite. I mean, Kelly's rocking a new shade of lipstick. You know, Kevin's all professionally lit, and Madam, you have this gorgeous like streak in your hair that's sort of.
Oh, this is my natural. I love my dad for actually pulling this off.
It looks dynamite. It
started happening at 24. Thank you, genetics. Thank you.
Oh no, that looks awesome. I mean, you're like Rogue from X-Men, and then here I am, like poorly lit in my fuck dungeon with my kitty cat T-shirt, unshaven. So,
well, you know, you're also drinking warm rum. There's a lot going on there that I don't have enough podcasts to unpack everything that's happening over there. But
if you had a cardigan and your pipe out.
While you've all been chatting, I've been sipping, so I've at least got a finger of rum in me. I've got a finger in me there.
Oh, there it is.
Summer
this
camp
is why
all
it's
over
explicit.
Again.
Yeah.
I am I encountered Kelly a long time ago, mostly through a third party.
I like the word encountered. Is it she was in a dark, seedy part of town?
No, I see it as we were 2 orbitals rogue from their stars, just grabbing each other's gravity as we zipped by in the dark. And we sort of said, hey, because so many people I've worked with and operated with within small publishing and independent publishing, especially starting with 2015, were essentially shysters who were trying to fake it till they made it. And so everyone I met, I took note of, especially the people I really enjoyed and liked, but I avoided working with anyone after I got burned really bad. So, and then Kelly just kept coming up in this purview of mine as always being successful. And it's like, you know what, Kelly isn't just an absolute delight, but clearly she's put her backbone into this and she's working. So, and that's what it is too often. People enjoy the flamboyancy of wordcraft and narrative, but she enjoys the actual work. And so I was thinking about approaching Cursed Dragon Ship for another book. And it wasn't a series, so it didn't necessarily fit into the portfolio at the time for Cursed Dragon Ship, which is something that is completely understandable. Every single publisher requires a portfolio, but this book had been rejected by everybody. So I'm like, you know what? Hail Mary. And it didn't work out. So I said, all right, fine, whatever. But she got back to me and said that, you know, told me about Kevin's work and said that my humor, my inevitable humor, as Kevin was putting it earlier, where you just can't not find something funny and have to point it out, would fit this setting well. And I read it and I was delighted. I was delighted because how sensitive, intelligent, introspective, and empathetic the book is without condemning or condoning its villains. And I greatly appreciated it. And when I felt that I could be a part of something like that, I absolutely jumped on the chance. And whereas Kevin is brave, I'm a coward. I don't go charging towards what scares me. I hide under a rock. But this really excited me, so I jumped on it. I do not know how many books a year I can write. I really don't. But we're going to find out after Kelly's done with me.
Well, I will tell you and I'm sure Kelly can say this too. So I also am a publisher. I'm an author.
Mhm.
Like I've done that. And it sounds from everything I've heard about Cursed Dragon Press, it sounds very similar to our story, which is Four Horsemen Publications, where we publish series-based authors, but we're in it to win it. Like we actually did it so it's scalable, not like, hey, we should start a publishing company and then have no clue what the hell that actually means, right? Because there's a lot. But I think that every person I've met associated with this project has been thoroughly fun and brilliant. And the idea of opening up a world to write and have the humor in, because I think, we talk a lot about Tolkien and, some of these things, and even like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and, stuff that's follows, but there hasn't necessarily been a lot of humor in fantasy as much as it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, because there's, if we've all played role-playing games, which I believe most of us have, like the humor is there. You're not just serious the entire time and like, we're going to take this.
Oh yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, because you can't sit around and be complete edgelords while playing a campaign. Invariably, someone's going to do some shenanigans. But what sold me on it, I was sold on it, but I knew that this would wind up being a star for which to hitch my wagon, was a joke that Kevin had written about a carriage, a stagecoach, and someone's grandmother. Do you remember the joke, Kevin? Dude, if you can get me rolling that hard while reading, and few books have done it. I can even name the books that have made me laugh that hard while reading. One of them is Busy Monsters. Another one is Infinite Jest. You got me rolling. And I'm like, this is going to be my retirement home. So yeah, this is going to pay for that. So I'm delighted. I'm going to try and live up to it.
I remember writing it. I don't remember the particulars though.
See, freaking fans pulling out some bullshit that you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find that later. It's fine. I'll find it. Stagecoach, control F.
Holy shit. It had the stagecraft of the scene to where you can visualize everything. You could see how everyone was moving, and you had the timing of the dialogue so perfectly delivered with hesitation from one of the characters, because you've already got the cadence of their speech pattern from earlier in the book, and it was so distinct for this character and how they operate and move. And all of that created this perfect scenario, like the kind of thing like you'd see in like Birdcage for that brief moment, like, wait, there's shrimps. And I just died. It was the funniest thing to me. I loved it. And that's when I was sold on Kevin.
See, Kevin, any more interviews with William, you're going to have to look up that scene, because if he brings it up again, you're
honestly, I think I might just make sure that William is here for all of my all of my future interviews.
Hype man. Well, anyone listening, it's that first book, it's worth it alone for that joke when it hits.
The rest of it, just skim. Find control F skim. You'll get it.
Who gives a shit?
So I think this is brilliant, but Kelly, when did you go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I think we should take this and explode it? What made you do that? Because there is a lot of balancing in opening up a world, because you're creating canon, and especially with the volume of people creating canon. Okay, Peanut Gallery.
Sorry.
No, he's right. Money is definitely a motivation. But no, but let's face it, we're starting a project.
Just anybody listening, the entire effing point of publishing books is to sell books. Money.
Yes, we want to sell. Otherwise, we would just be writing and putting it up. But because we want to make money, you get a better quality book, readers. So keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing was we had other friends that were doing it. See, the secret to our success is we do what other successful people are doing. Right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. That's just silly. So we see someone else doing something really cool and see if that would fit for us. And if it does fit for us, we're totally going to imitate it. So we saw other, like Four Horsemen does it. Do you see what I mean? Four Horsemen, you have a universe and you have this, you spend so much time, let's just face it, right? All of us here know, you spend so much time creating this world, making a magic system, putting the map together. Kevin Petway's map is amazing and he made it himself. So you have all this map, you know, all of these cool things, all of these cultures, all of this stuff, and there's only one of you. How the heck can you possibly cover all the stories that would be in this world? So when you have fans that love that world, what better way than to bring other authors on that understand that world, who appreciate it, as William just expressed how much he appreciates it, and can also create their own little piece of that so that the fans can just get as much as they want. And people have been doing this since the beginning of time, right? I mean, I read like a ton of Star Trek books, right? None of them were ever TV shows, right? It was more of that universe I wanted. Star Wars books, right? People read Star Wars books because they want more of that universe. And we could keep going, naming everything you can imagine. And then you read the Dragonlance, the original ones, but then you have each little series that's another part of that world. So what we're doing is not new. There's nothing new to what we're doing. We are just taking Kevin's brilliant world and his sense of humor, which, by the way, none of them imitate. None of the other 5 authors, none of them imitate. They have their own humor. Some of them are closer to Kevin's than others, but that was part of the point, right? We're not trying to imitate what Kevin's doing. We're trying to build upon it. So by doing that, everyone has a different take on what their humor is. But by doing that, the fans who can read a lot faster than we can write, they can be satisfied with this world. They can pull in and explore and do something new. And, you know, just forget about this nonsense. I'm just waving at the world in general for a little while. And that's kind of the point.
No, that's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and especially if you can find the right voices that will add to that, because it was true. One of my favorite books in the entire world was Spellfire when it first came out from Ed Greenwood for the Forgotten Realms. And then that kept building. Curse of the Azure Bonds. I could totally nerd out and just go down a really long list, you know.
Exactly.
Of it. But you're correct. They did do it well. But I think that it takes a certain level of organization and things like that when you're allowing people to open up, because it's one thing to go pick a planet somewhere in the whatever. And of course, we all know, unfortunately, for Star Wars, like all of that canon was like thrown away. And now they're going back going, So we were kidding when we said we wanted to throw this away, because apparently it's better than the shit we were coming up with. So we're gonna bring it back.
Thrawn and Yuzhen Vong are just two good properties to let go. I look forward to seeing how they work that in.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's brilliant that you've taken this path and you've taken it with such amazingly fun people.
And we didn't, like you said, we didn't just like go out. That was the hard part. I mean, it took us good 7-8 months to find the exact right authors, the ones who also had time. And like, we laughed because we were like, we need people who can write in this world, who are okay with Kevin telling him there are no lions in this world. That's a funny story too. Having, you know, all of these different things go on that be able to do that and make deadlines, right? Because this is only going to work if we can all pull our weight, if we can all make our deadlines. So to find all of those right people, I mean, that took a good 6 or 7 months before we even got to that point.
So I got a question.
Uh-oh.
Where on that
It's not your podcast. You don't get to ask questions.
You're absolutely
what
right.
the hell are you thinking?
You're absolutely right.
I told you, William, you are not a co-host. Like,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
eliminated your co-host ability very early on in this.
Right, you are. I apologize.
Okay. We have one rule. I'm like Captain Jack Sparrow. I almost have some idea what I'm doing. So
don't do that. He likes to be punished.
No, William, what was your question?
Oh, I'm embarrassed now. I was just wondering where on that 6-7 month scale had they had to go down far enough on the list to hit me.
Oh my gosh, we're not doing that.
You were near the top, so stop that nonsense.
Whatever.
Everyone was near the top.
Yeah, see, enough. Now we're going to break because you've caused such an uproar with your needing to have accolades handed to you. Shut up. Okay, we'll be right back. Hey, listeners. You know me, Eric Lance. You're just listening to me in the podcast that you have. But guess what? I'm doing something new.
Yeah, she's joining me, Mark Muncy, the author of the Erie, Florida book series in Erie, Appalachia. And we are hosting a new podcast called Erie Travels.
Woo-woo! Erie Travels, which covers things like ghosts, cryptids, weird stuff, UFOs, Men in Black, all kinds of fun things that people talk about, and I'm sure you've discussed with friends.
Yep, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, or find us at eerietravels.com and join in the fun and all the spooky goodness.
And of course, Mark, what do we always say?
We'll see you on the other side.
Okay, now that we're all back from our paranormal experience during the break. So before we do some literary briefs questions, Kevin, where did the idea of this world come from?
There's a lot of different places. I mean, I've always loved fantasy. It was a great, early escape for me. I have also always loved Westerns. Like I remember watching with my wife Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid a couple of years ago, and realizing how much of the sort of the dynamic between the two main characters came from that movie. There's just lots and lots of little places that a lot of which I haven't even uncovered, that sort of got together in my head and made this. So there's not like any one thing, other than like I said, I've always loved fantasy, but I think a lot of it's kind of grim, and I wanted to write something that would make somebody laugh, and that would make you really like the characters, and that when you got done with it would make you happy that you had read it. And so I think if there was any single impetus, it was that.
I like it. Okay. So Kelly, what do you write fantasy as well? That's why you went down this path?
Yes.
What are your books?
I have two series. One is a duology that's complete. It is a YA fantasy. It's about a set of twins who go on a journey across their world to discover who is the true heir. But true heir doesn't mean what they think it does. That one's really good if you're like new to fantasy. Like I recommend it for younger readers.
Okay.
And it's clean and all that. It's great for that. 2 books, you're done. So it's kind of nice. It's good if you just want to relax. My other book is very adult. And it is the Emergent series. The first book's The Collector, and that is about Fauna Young, who is an empath. So she can sense emotions, and she can also read memories left on objects. And she thinks she's the only one in the world who can do this, until she finds a piece of art, and every little piece of it is left of a different memory from a different person. And she's like, well, this can't be a coincidence. I can't, this has to be on purpose. So I've got to go meet this artist. She goes to meet him, and he's been murdered. And now she needs to solve that murder, or she could be next.
I hate it when that happens.
I know, right? It's just all the time.
Yeah, literally daily occurrence for me. It's a thing. It's fine. William, what about you?
I'm actually just sold on Kelly's second book. I gotta get that when we're done here.
You wanted accolades right before the break, and now I'm trying to give you a point to talk about yourself.
He's actually better at giving them than receiving them. So this is good. Come on. Say how awesome you are, William. Let's go.
So my my biggest problem is branding, because I write everything. I write a lot of historical fiction in the form of short stories. I write about questions I don't have the answer to, and I never will. I like exploring them. And I like exploring them with realistic characters from the time period and setting from which these conundrums occur. Like my first book was about time traveling historians who figure out one of their future selves is altering the line, so they all turn on each other. So sort of a who done it or who will do it. And it continues to do well. And then I did a steampunk version of Dante's Inferno, where I moved up the timeline to World War I. And my main characters rotate in each major novel, even though the setting and the overall cast does not. But I enjoy everything. I do a lot of narrative design work for tabletop RPGs. There's a Victorian horror setting that I kind of established through a company called Wicked Foundations that still gets me just the best fan mail. So I am much more written and read than I am received. So it was flattering that Kelly considered me for this.
Very cool.
I love
The
trampling in the
question
land of
was about what you write. I love that you somehow started off and then ended off with not answering that question, but talking about Kelly again. So
Well, I've been thinking about a
He's good
political
at that.
career.
you'll do great from your basement doing that.
Oh, I
You
like
know
you.
what? I would
I
actually
like
like to
you.
speak to that because this is something that I was thinking about yesterday or this morning. I don't remember, but I was thinking about Kelly just in general, and I was wondering if she is as proud of herself as she ought to be.
Well, Kelly,
she talked about.
Who has time to be proud of yourself? I'm too busy working. What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, and that's kind of the point of it, though. When we went out looking for authors, Kelly had the contacts. Kelly had the reputation. People knew who she was, and they knew who she was for the right reasons. And she was able to find people that, that we went back and we read everybody's stuff, and we made sure, okay, this person's great, but they don't fit. This person is perfect. And we went through all of that. But she has, okay, this is the best endorsement I can give you of her. When I go to cons and I'm in panels and I'm sitting there with other authors, inevitably the question of everybody's publisher always comes up. And I always end up pissing off all the other authors there because everybody hates their publisher. And then it gets down to me and I'm like, no, I fucking love my publisher. She's amazing. She works like a dog for me. And it's everything that I can do to try and be worthy of what she's putting out there. And she does it for everybody. And it's just amazing. And so we're thrilled to work for Curse Dragon. It's I got really, really lucky because this was my first shot out of the gate. But I mean, I have talked to enough people out there that I understand how unusual and how great it is. And I will never, ever be able to say enough good things about her.
That is awesome. Kelly, prepare for the onslaught of people doing submissions once they listen to this podcast. I'm just warning you, that's what's going to happen.
So I probably shouldn't mention that we're kind of closed for submissions right now.
No, it won't matter. They'll find you. Now all this, they're going to show up randomly at conventions. You'll be sitting there. They'll be like, so does your daughter still do horse jumping? I like it. It's going to be amazing and get really creepy. So just, you're warned in advance of that. But I think that is thoroughly amazing and awesome. And before people start crying, because this podcast, there's no crying and drinking with authors. That's not a thing.
I'm just thinking I should have poured a bigger drink here.
You should be where I'm at, Kelly.
I know. I don't know what I'm doing here.
I'm in a much better place here.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we're going to switch to literary briefs, which is rapid fire questions. But because I could have you individually as guests on this podcast, and I would love to do that, I'm going to do a little bit of a variation on this, right? Than what the ones I normally start off asking. So, first one, William, you're on the spot. Ready? Yep. What is your favorite fantasy book of all time?
Oh, no. I'm an atheist, but it's the Bible. I am so sorry for that answer, but not really.
That's okay. We've gotten, because we normally ask what your favorite book and your least favorite book. And if I told you the amount of times people have said that is their least favorite book.
I don't enjoy it necessarily. Its prose is slapdash. It's obviously Frankenstein together. If it was my favorite book, it would be like Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. But if we're talking fantasy, yes, I know, madam.
Okay.
Don't hurt me.
Okay. You said this is not going to be rapid fire if I allow you
are right.
to pontificate.
My favorite fantasy book is the Bible because it gives you everything and nothing at the same time.
Okay, good. Whew, this is going to be hard. We've only got so much time. Okay. I'm going to brace myself when you actually come on the podcast as an author so that I might even have to write down my fucking questions because I never do that. But damn, it'll be like.
I don't think I'd be invited back.
Yes, you are.
Already scribbled. No, just kidding. Okay. Kelly, what is your favorite fantasy book of all time?
Oh, I'm pretty fickle. So mine is usually the one I'm reading. So right now, my favorite fantasy is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I really love his magic system, and I'm having an absolute ball.
Awesome. Very cool. I love Kevin's background's now anime. It's cool. What is your favorite fantasy book of all time, Kevin?
It's actually a short series of books, but they put it all together into one, which is the Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, just I loved those books. I don't know how many times I've read them, and I based a lot of D&D on reading those books when I was a kid. So they came into my life in the perfect time.
Perfect. So now we're going to go to role playing. What is your favorite character class to play, Kelly?
Druid.
Awesome. Why?
I want to have all of the animals. All of them. We actually had a character last time we played online that's exactly what she wanted. Who happens, actually, it's Jess Rainey. You would have interviewed her, right? With one of these. And she wanted every animal. I'm like, same. So yeah, no, that's exactly it.
I love that. Okay, William, remember, it's rapid fire. I'm going to preface this because, man, I will mute you like a motherfucker in a minute. So,
Dungeons and Dragons cipher system, what?
Just choose one.
Oh, Bard, because I want to win at everything.
You must have had interesting games. Okay. Kevin, what is your favorite character to play?
Also Bard, but for a slightly different reason. I feel a little bit less guilty talking all the time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. If you could be any mythological creature, what would you be? What universe would it be from? And why? Kevin.
Gosh, I really like being me. Are
you a mythological or fantastical creature?
He totally is.
Somewhere I am.
In the mind of William, apparently, but continue on.
Well, okay, so I guess gods count. So yeah, I would be a god. Because they look like people, but they can turn into cuttlefish and go have sex with women.
At the same time?
It depends on what the woman's into.
It was Zeus did that. He turned into a cuttlefish, and oh God, I can't remember. Kelly, do you remember which hero?
Which one?
We
need Jeremy on for that one. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that a lot of people haven't seen what a cuttlefish actually looks like. They have the wrong picture. So I just need all of my people listening to this podcast to go Google what a cuttlefish looks like to fully understand that implication. Because people make reference to it in Jurassic Park, but I can tell you people don't go look at what that means because it sounds like an attractive fish. This is not an attractive fish.
Yeah. I think they're beautiful. Shell and tentacles. What more could you want?
It's very attractive. It is not something you'd want to have sex with.
Exactly.
Okay, now you are kink shaming on my show. I'm just not on board for that. So, William, we're going to move to you. What fantastical or mythical creature would you be from what universe and why?
Chimera, so I could always play chess, even by myself, and be surprised at the outcome. And ancient Greece, because I wouldn't have to worry about, a lot of noise from traffic.
That's not true. There's a lot of heroes. I'm just warning you that there's okay. You need to read some stories. Okay, Kelly, what would you be?
Oh, no.
I would be a Kender from Dragonlance because then my ADHD would seem totally normal.
That is true. That is very true. Well done. Well done. I like it. Okay. Absolutely favorite beverage to drink when you have just finished writing and you're relaxing. Kelly.
Well, it used to be tequila and whatever fruit juice I had handy. But during lockdown, I had maybe too much relaxing and too much of these. So I've been trying to cut back. So at this point, we really like sun tea. I mean, the sun needs to have a use. So making tea is a nice use. Otherwise, it's just torturing us.
This is a true story. See, I just instead have a podcast so that I legitimately have a professional reason to drink. So it's fine. It's fine. It's professional, quotations. Okay. William, what is your favorite beverage?
I'm boring. Water. I drink so much water a day.
First of all, you've proven to not be boring. And
yes.
Okay. Moving on. What about you, Kevin?
I drink green tea, which I love. And it's got cinnamon and turmeric and ginger in it. And I make up big batches of it and stick it in the refrigerator. And so we have iced green tea. And it's my absolute favorite drink.
Sounds great.
Very cool. Okay. What is your comfort book? What is the book that you've reread the most times? William.
I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. I love its characters. I love Susan Calvin and her logic that she approaches everything with. And I love the optimistic but ominous tone it ends on. Just a perfect book for me. It got me into writing.
Very cool. Kevin?
Watchmen.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. That's another one that I've just read over and over and over again. I can't actually keep a copy of it because I keep giving it away. But then I'll just go buy another one. And it's really funny because some of the actual philosophies behind it, I just dramatically disagree with. But I love the book, and it's got some amazing beats in it that just are fantastic.
Awesome. Kelly?
For me, it's a series. It's Kim Harrison's The Hollows. So she started putting out new books too. So it's really nice. So a new book comes out and I get to read the whole series again. So I love that one. It's an urban fantasy and it's incredible.
I love that you say I get to read, as if anybody's going, you know what, Kelly, in order to read this next book, your ass needs to read all of the others, or you don't get this book. You don't get it at all.
Well, that's what my brain tells me. Does that count?
In some languages. Okay, so we're casting characters for our books. Yes. But Kelly, what I want from you is I want these other gentlemen to answer this question, and I want to see if it aligns with what you thought from being the final eyes on the books.
Okay.
Okay? No pressure.
No
All
pressure.
the pressure. Have another drink. Kevin, who would you cast as the lead?
So I kind of keep a list of actors and actresses that I like for my characters, not because I ever think it's going to happen, just because I can't help myself. And you see somebody on TV and you're like, oh my God, that's perfect for that. Like Ian. Oh Jesus Christ, I can't remember his last name. He played Swear Engine in Deadwood. It would be a perfect Harden. And the person who played the younger version of I don't remember anybody's name. The fellow who played the younger version of Lando Calrissian.
Oh yeah,
in
he's
Solo.
great.
Glover.
Donald Glover.
Yeah, Donald
That's
Glover would be. I think he would be an excellent Keen. I have probably about a dozen actresses that I think would be amazing for Sarah. Sarah in the book is she's very tall. She's like 6'2", 6'3", and big shouldered. But for me, it's all about presence. I think there's a lot of people out there who, even if they aren't giant like that, would really do an excellent job with the presence. In the second season of Picard, the woman who played Guinan, she played the younger version of Guinan, would be an amazing Sarah. Again, can't remember anybody's goddamn name. But
that's okay. Don't worry. You can sit there and look pretty. It's fine. Kelly, do you agree? Disagree? Thoughts?
Well, for me, Keen and Sarah and their relationship reminds me so much of, now I have to say, have you seen that show Firefly? I'm sure you have.
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't be surprised how, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am how many people haven't anymore, right? I mean, it's been 20 years and there were 14 episodes, right? So, but in my head, when I see Keen and Sarah, I see Mal and Zoe. Right. So now they would be too old to play those parts, right? Like, Gina Torres and Nathan Fillion, they're too old to play them anymore if it came out now. But in my head, when I'm reading it, that's who I see.
I like that.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
William.
Ooh, I had someone in mind for Sarah. Now, and I don't normally cast. So this is whenever this question comes up, I'm usually just, I'm stuck. But I would say definitely Sarah would be easier to cast for me. An actress named Caddy O'Brien. I was watching The Mandalorian and saw her on it. And I'm like, yeah, she would be a pretty good Sarah. Those of you who know her, she's an operative who works for
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that she seems unassuming, but her physicality, especially later on in the show.
Are you casting Kevin's book or your book?
Oh, Kevin, should I be casting mine? Oh
yes.
My God. Oh.
Yeah, so we need Arvin. That's what I was wondering too. I was like, wait, did I misunderstand the prompt?
I am
yeah,
so sorry.
You did not. He misunderstood the prompt.
I misunderstood the prompt.
Big
I
shock.
apologize.
Big shock.
So yeah, actually it's funny. Abed from Community, what is his name? Abed Nadir is the name of the character. Would definitely be, I do not know. I'm trying to look it up right now. He's 100% my character, Arvin. In fact, I enjoyed him more than anything. I mean, as much as I love Donald Glover, but he 100% was my guy. I see that too. As far as Visteria, who is probably my other predominant main character, the actress who played, funny enough, Susan Calvin for My Robot. I could get you her name right now as well. And then for Gisela, it would definitely be Viola Davis, but Viola Davis, not from the jazz film she was in, but from The Woman King.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've seen The Woman King, she's jacked and she's rocking them guns. That is Viola Davis.
Very cool.
Bridget Monahan would be my Visteria.
Kelly, do you agree?
I do agree with Arvin from Community for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then Viola Davis would be fantastic. But again, she's probably too old to play it at this point.
That is, yeah.
I don't know. So again, like Viola Davis can play anybody. Like she's one of those people.
Yeah.
That like I'm just constant. There are some actors that you just are constantly in awe of what they do, and I love it when I almost don't recognize them in stuff. And then I'm like, is that Viola Davis?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I love that situation.
She's stunning. I would watch her as George Washington. I mean, if they did a remake of that movie with Hitler in the bunker starring her, I'd be like, all right, I'm totally immersed.
Like, whatever, I'm in it. I'm into it. Yeah, no, I'm with you. But for the
Visteria.
Thank you. I'm notorious for knowing how to spell all the characters' names, but I can never quite come up with them. I don't know what that. Maybe just because I'm looking at words all day, so that's how my brain remembers them. I would actually make her number 13 from House, Olivia Wilde.
Oh,
yeah, I think Olivia Wilde would rock that role.
What a good director too.
Yeah, so I think she
skilled.
would.
Yeah, no, she's very skilled in her craft. I know her from Tron Legacy.
Oh, nice.
And she's
every time we see her, my husband and I are like, oh, look, it's 13. We can't help ourselves.
Thank you, darling. It was very well staged and very well filmed.
Very cool. Okay, so last question. It could be literally the most pivotal question ever. What is your favorite movie, Candy?
Oh,
Kelly.
I love red licorice with popcorn. They have to be together.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin?
Goobers.
Oh.
Of
And
course
William?
you would, goober.
Nonpareils, snow caps.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I enjoy this. I'm a big fan of popcorn and hot tamales or popcorn and M&Ms.
Wait, we can get tamales
There.
at the theater?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's what Kevin always gets. My
Where do we
husband.
go to?
It's candy.
Always.
Oh, I'm thinking of like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, you were
I
thinking
knew what
actual
you were
food.
thinking.
Yeah, shit. I'm like, were tacos on the menu? What else is on the menu? Shit.
You got
are
a fancy movie theaters.
So super pretty today for being on this podcast. You're pretty.
I know you're not talking to me.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I am.
yeah, she is.
It's not a compliment. So
Don't spit out that rum. It's like $2 more expensive than the cheap stuff. Remember, don't spit it out.
okay, so let's do some shameless self-promotion time of where people can find you in your books. So Kelly, you got excited. Why don't you go first?
Well, you can find all the books we published on curseddragonship.com. So you just go there and see our whole library, and that's lots of fun. And my books are on there too. So I shamelessly also publish my own books.
Which one should. I do the same thing. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have the time or effort to do anything else.
I already have the logos.
Yes, exactly. You have cover artists, you have editors. It makes it easy as pie. Easy as
100%.
pie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. William?
WilliamLJGalaney.com. Sorry, my dog is borking. So you can easily find me there. You can find me, just Google Galaney, Galaini, and you'll find me at any place you can buy books. But yeah, I do audiobooks, short stories, long fiction, and narrative design for pretty much any game, be it video game or tabletop.
Very cool.
And his Misplaced Adventure comes out in January.
Awesome. Kevin?
Yeah, the Amazon and all of the places. Did we just go wide, Kelly, on everything?
Yes, it is wide. You now can get your ebooks everywhere ebooks are sold.
Yeah. But if you want a taste, just to see if you would like it without spending any money, you can go to kevinpetway.com, it's KEVINPETTWAY.com, and sign up and get a free short story there, that short story is from right before the first book starts. So it's like the incident that everybody is dealing with when the book starts. And it's short, but it's cute, it's funny, and it gives you a really good taste of what's going forward. Congratulations, William. You finished your run.
I had already done that, so you're not a winner. But wonderful. Oh, he's muted. So that makes my life really easy. Okay. So with that.
Wait. His Misplaced Adventure comes out in November.
Kevin's next one?
Yes, his next one for his brand new series.
Yep. Okay. Very cool. Okay. So this is I want to thank you all for being on this. Well, I want to thank two of the three of you for being on the podcast with me today.
Dinner table growing up all over again.
No, I want to thank everyone for being on this podcast today. This has been so much fun. Thank you all just for making this happen. I really appreciate it. This has been Drinking with Authors. I've been your host, Erica Lance. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a review, a comment. We'd love to hear things, not about William, please, because there's nothing I can do about that. But other than that, we'd love to hear from you. And we will see you next time.